You know what? I can say that I'm not going to say that I was like them, but I can relate to them because you know what? I wasn't the dainty one. You know what I mean? I wasn't the I was more kind of like, more here with it. So it was just like you would have looked at me and thought that I was a rapper. You know what I mean? You be like, oh, okay, she rap. And it didn't. You wouldn't know that this little squeaky voice and this voice that would come out that would be something that God gave me that was very different, but at the same time too so rememberable.
Yeah.
So it was just like you wouldn't have thought that would have came out. You would have thought I would have been like, yo, what up, da, da. You know what I mean? You would have thought that I would have came like that, but that wasn't so at all. So it was just like, it was just a beautiful combination, just in general, and even just total coming into the music game. It was just like, I'm just so grateful because we weren't like anybody else.
Yeah. Okay, here you are.
Hey, how you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing good.
Good.
Yes, it's about 10 p.m. here in London, but I'm glad you were able to join in today.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. Listen, we got a couple of minutes. We got about 20 minutes to go in, and let's have I won't hold you long. You won't hold me long. Let's have a great time.
Yeah, no, I mean, one of the things about my show is that we've got an international audience, and they've seen guests through the 90s talk about their journey, because not everyone who can sing, can sign a record deal, have hit records. And so we want to find out how you started off and how you managed to break the mold and stuff. But I have an international audience, and it's always great to know where you were born and raised.
Wow, great. You know what? Thank you. First, I want to just say thank you for having me. I really do appreciate it. And I'm definitely grateful to be here. And you know what? As far as when it comes to myself getting started in the industry, I was 15 years old. A family friend took me. I'm from New Jersey.
Okay, New Jersey.
Yeah, I'm from the U.S. Yes, yes. And so with that, being that a family friend took me to a studio one day. I was a young girl who loved to sing, grew up in the church, and for the most part, it was just like Michael Jackson was everything to me. So it's just like, I'm looking at myself. I'm a part of the Jackson family. They just didn't know. I'm Michelle Jackson. So with all of that said, a family friend took me to the studio one day in Plainfield, New Jersey. And I went, and it was my first time ever recording. He told my mom that he was going to take me, and I went to the studio. And mind you, I was there all night. I knew nothing about the studio, but recording, and then you got to take over and over and over again. Certain things that they're doing, you just thinking like when you hear music, that it's just something that just happens and you just record one time, but that's not so sometimes, especially when it's your first time being in such a studio. And I go to the studio, he brings me back home with the song. Now I finished the song, and the name of the song was called Dangerous Relationships, right? I'm 15 years old. So when I get home, my mom is upset, and I'm about to get a whooping, for coming in the house late. And he's like, no, Miss Judy, Miss Judy, we was at the studio. And so my mom hears the song and she loves the song. And from there, what happens is that I start going to the studio. And at the time, I didn't know Keisha and Kima. And they were actually going to the studio and working with the same gentleman. And upon us being in the studio together, we would say hi or whatever. And maybe about 2 weeks later, he called, and I didn't know Kim and Keisha was looking for a third member of their group, because they had I believe they had another young lady before myself, and it didn't work out. But mind you, I'm at the studio, and they called me on the phone, and they was just like, Pamela, the producer that I was working with, Norman Bradley, he was like, the girls want to do a group with you, because like I said, we saw each other in passing. I thought Keisha was cool. I thought Kima was, I didn't care for Kima at the time because, I was a little knucklehead at the time. I was a little knucklehead, and I thought she was bougie, which she was not. It was just me being a knucklehead as a 15-year-old kid, right? And so with all of that said, we got on the phone, we're talking, and they was like, do you want to be in a group? And I was like, no. And I was just like, because, I'm looking at it as I'm a solo act. I'm a young kid. I don't know. And so he talks to me more on the phone, and they're on the phone. And I finally just say, all right, yeah, I'll be in it. And pretty much from that moment, we met. Kim and Keisha had knew a couple of guys in the industry. And, they heard some music that we did together. They took us to a woman by the name of Kathy Dukes. And when we met Kathy Dukes, come to find out, she never told us in the beginning that Puff Daddy at the time, that was his name. He was actually the godfather of her son. And so, she would have us doing different shows, and she was grooming us and all of these things. And then one day she says to us that, because she would have us in her car, and she would be like, get out and sing, she get out. And, you looking like, oh my goodness. And she's like, we were singing for people, jumping out of her car, just going, singing for people. And we sung for CL Smooth. And we sung for, I believe, their dancer, Glenn. We were singing for just pretty much everybody. And one day she's like, I'm going to take you to Puff Daddy. And so, we went to Puff Daddy at the time, and he came down on the elevator of the Hit Factory in New York. And so with all of that being said, we sung for him. As soon as the elevator doors closed, it was just like we was all in his face, going in. And it was just like, he kind of was just like a little leaned back a little bit, and he was just watching us. And we got off the elevator. He walked out. We followed him to a lounge in the Hit Factory. And then from there, we sung for him the records that we had with the producer that we were working with at the time. And we finished, and he, his face was kind of just like he didn't look impressed at all. And he asked us our names. And then from there, it was just like, all right, we told him our names. And he was like, all right, thank y'all for coming out. If he was like, if you ever got into an argument or whatever, could y'all still work together in the studio? We was like, yes. And he's like, all right, thank y'all for coming out. And it was just like, he hated us, so you kind of just leaving with like, you just like feeling some sort of kind of way. And it was just like, it was hurtful, and I remember, you a little teared up, I believe at that time, I'm a teared up, I'm a 15-year-old kid. And it's just like, but 5 o'clock that next morning, he called and he told Kathy, he said, don't take those girls anywhere. I want to sign. So it was just like, he signed us. And it was just like, at the time he was in the transition, still up at Uptown. And it was Craig Mack, Biggie in total. And he left there, and Bad Boy came about, and that we were his first 3 acts. It was Craig first, then it was Biggie, then it was Total. And Puff was so dope and so creative, to where it was just like everybody was a family package. Everybody was on everybody's record, and that's how Kima and Keisha's voice was on Juicy. But they said Total, but it was Kima and Keisha who did the record. And so it was just like Puff knew how to put an imprint on everybody. And then when it came to remix of One More Chance, that was my voice. Faith and Mary did the original. And then here Pamela I was doing more vocally, but it was all 3 of us. It was myself, Kima, and Keisha. And it was just like, I had an opportunity for my vocals to shine on the remix of One More Chance. And then it was just so many things. And then next thing you know, here we come, 1995.
Oh, no, but before you get there, because one of the things that, because you have a very different persona, and I wanted to find out what was your influence when you came out, when you started off, because you wanted to go solo. So who was around at that point where you were looking and saying, this person is in the kind of lane that I was looking to be as a solo artist?
You know what? I would say it wasn't really anybody around. It was just really truly all God. Like I can't say it any other kind of way, because you know what? I was a kid in school. I just loved to sing. I love when, you in the choir and people cheering you on at church, and it's just like, and that was the highlight of church, because, I didn't really have a relationship with God back then. It was just pretty much, I just like to sing, and I like to sing in the choir, and I like to see the senior choir sing. And it was just so many things that I just loved about music. And then, I was the girl walking down the hallway in school with her headphones on, or I was the girl, I'm getting in trouble because I shouldn't have had them on. And it's just like, I'm singing down the hallway, I'm singing in class. And it was just like, I told my mom at a young age, I was like, I don't want to go to college. I want to sing. And my mom was like, okay, she's like, all right, baby, and she was just like, she was there for me with the things that I wanted to do. And it was just like I said, it was all God. Like it was such a setup from him, to where it was just like, I had nothing to do with it. All I had was a dream. All I had was something in my heart that I knew that was burning on the inside of me. And when I saw Michael Jackson, when I saw, the ones that I liked as far as the music, listen, in our home, we listened to Stephanie Mills. My mom listened to, on the 8-track, she listened to Smokey Robinson. She listened to the Temptations, and even though it was like those songs, I didn't understand them as a kid, I still just was like loving music. Music was everything to me.
Yeah, but you know what? Because when I look at, especially yourself, and there's very few female artists who had the kind of swagger that you had,
Wow.
and that was like Mary and probably
Wow.
Little Kim.
Wow.
Because when I see Total perform, you're the one that's very, when Puffy does his little sort of funny
Yeah,
dance,
yeah.
you're the only one that really does the stuff. And so I was wondering back then, the performance part of that, because that's something that a lot of artists, female artists, didn't really get to. They had the vocal talent, but you were able to get the two together.
Wow.
Was it Michael Jackson, or who was it that you were looking at from 1991 that you were like, okay, I can be in that lane before Total?
You know what? I definitely can say that I watched Michael so much as a little kid. I was so enamored with Michael to the point where it was just like, I'm crying in my living room and screaming, like literally screaming at the TV. I watched Michael Jackson, everything. I watched their cartoon, the Jackson 5. I listened to the Jackson 5 albums, even though it was like I was a young kid watching and listening to it. It was just music. Like I said, I didn't know what the words meant, but it was just the passion and the love that he had. Like when Michael moved his foot, it's just like you knew, like he felt everything. And so it was just like it was something on the inside of me that was so relatable. Like I could relate to that, to where it was just like I was like, yo, this is what I want to do. And it's just like when I get on the stage or when I sing, it's just like something it's like it's such a solace that's there. And it's like I'm not trying to do. It's just like it just comes out. So it's just something that's so natural that God has given to me. And it's just like when I say that I love to perform, and I'm so grateful for being able to, because it's just like it's so becoming of me. It's so me,
Yeah.
So it's not something that I'm trying to do. It's just that it just comes out that way. And because I watched Michael so much, it was just that I was able to relate to him. I wasn't trying to be him. As a kid, you mimic. Oh, don't get me wrong. I mimicked everything that he did because I loved what I saw. And it was just the performance, the singing, like you said, the whole package.
Yeah.
And it was something that I always just wanted to do. It made me, it brought so much more out of me seeing that.
Yeah. So then when you were recording your stuff, and before they said, oh, these girls are trying to come up with a group,
right?
Who were you looking at then, thinking, okay, because Mary must have been out by then, but I don't think too many female in that early 90s genre. So did you have an idea like, okay, I can be like Mary or Toni Braxton, or what were you thinking before you agreed to join Total?
You know what? Before then, I pretty much was watching some of everybody. Queen Latifah was out at that time, and it was just like Moni Love, and you had MC Light, and you had so many different female rappers. You had the Brat that was out, you had so many people that was doing things. So it was just like you're inspired by pretty much a lot of what you see. But it was just more or less, I can't even front. Michael had always just hands down the one for me. So it was just like whatever he did, it was just like it was like he always circumvented himself. Like it was like Michael always came back with something. So it was like he stayed in our faces, even when Mary was on the scene and when everybody else was on the scene. Michael was so relevant. He was always relevant. He always had that relevancy. Yeah.
Okay, so you mentioned hip hop artists, because was your style anything close to Light and the Brat and stuff before Total?
You know what? I can say that I'm not going to say that I was like them, but I can relate to them, because you know what? I wasn't the dainty one. You know what I mean? I wasn't the I was more kind of like, more here with it. So it was just like you would have looked at me and thought that I was a rapper. You know what I mean? You'd be like, oh, okay, she rap. And you wouldn't know that this little squeaky voice and this voice that would come out that would be something that God gave me that was very different, but at the same time too so rememberable. So it was just like you wouldn't have thought that would have came out. You would have thought I would have been like, yo, what up, da, da? You know what I mean? You would have thought that I would have came like that, but that wasn't so at all. So it was just like, it was just a beautiful combination, just in general, and even just total coming into the music game. It was just like, I'm just so grateful because we weren't like anybody else.
Yeah.
We were ourselves,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I saw one of my favorite shows back then was Video Soul with Donnie Simpson and
Yeah,
Chelsea.
you're right.
And I saw when you guys and Biggie were on there, and after your performance, and they interviewed you guys, and I realized, wow, how nerve wracking was it for you in the early days? Because here you are, your sunglasses and everything. Was it tough then being in the limelight and being interviewed and stuff like that back then for you?
You know what? It was, I'm not going to say it wasn't nerve wracking. I wasn't afraid of it, but I wasn't as much of a talker. Keisha was the one that was like in the head of the group. So Keisha and Kima talked a little bit, but Keisha was more or less the one that would speak a lot. And you know what? It was just like, you get a little nervous because it's just like, you get that, it's like, whoo, you get a little nervous. And, but for the most part, loved every moment of it, especially when it's what you love to do. When you're in your element and it's like, you're not trying to be there, but it's just like, that it's the moment that you have because it's what's on the inside of you. It's such a great feeling.
Yeah.
To be fulfilled. Yeah.
And it came across, and I'm saying came based on how you guys were in your performance, that you just love being on the stage. I always wondered about the fashion, because the three of you had distinct fashion. One wearing the skirts, one wearing the very short top. You were in the was that a conscious decision? Or do you have a stylist, or what was that setup?
You know what? I believe, shout out to Sybil Penix, because actually at the time she was our manager slash stylist, and she was actually styling at the time Mary, Heavy D, God rest his soul, Jodeci, so many other people. Like, she was working with Christopher Williams. She was working with everybody, and so with that, she just took what she saw in us and it just enhanced it and took it to the next level, pretty much. And it was just like, she saw the personality. She was looking at I'm pretty sure the personalities that we carried, and it was a hit. It was definitely a hit. It wasn't something that she tried to make up. It was pretty much, she saw what she saw and she dressed us in certain things. And it was just like, and it just really stuck. It did.
Were you prepared for the success, especially of your first single when it came out? Were you prepared for how well it was received and how big before your album even came out?
Right. You know what? In all honesty, I believe that it kind of pretty much caught the label off guard. And I say that because we didn't have an album ready. We went on tour for a year with one song, like with Can't You See, which was incredible, so it was just like, but when we came off, it was like we had to catch up. We had to play catch up to get the album done. And being babies in the industry is just like I said, going in that studio is just like, in recording, it's not as easy when you're not used to it. You're in a major studio now. Wow. And you're able to hear everything. If you go, you can hear it, and it's like very loud, so it can be very intimidating in that booth. And it was moments I was intimidated, in the booth, it's like not a little nervous, but scared, like, oh my goodness. And you got this big time producer that you're a kid, but at the same time too, now I'm out of high school, because at this time, and we're recording, and I'm looking at him, but I'm still starstruck, because I'm like, this is Puff Daddy that was chasing Mary around in that Real Love video, because that's what I remember about him. He chasing her around. He chasing around Big Les, I should say, in the video. So it's just like, I'm still looking at that like, this is Puff Daddy. And so it's just like, you were fearful because you want to sound good in front of him. And then it's just like, he's looking to pull things out of you, and he's saying, yes, I like this. No, I don't. So it was just like, it was a lot, but it was such an amazing experience. Amazing.
Did you write before you, because when you were in the studio back in the day, did you learn how to write, or were you just mainly focused on singing?
You know what? As an artist back then, I didn't know anything about singing. Now, I was a writer, like as far as like I like to writing stories when I was younger. But for
Yeah.
the most part, other than that, no, I knew nothing about. I just wanted to sing. I didn't.
Okay.
Yeah, I want to sing. That's it. And
Yeah.
and as I grew in the industry, I learned about writing. I
Uh,
learned about how important it was, and like to really sit down and like, wow, like I can write a song because I
yeah.
never thought that I never was interested in that. And then too, I wasn't confident enough to write when I started learning about it. But
Yeah.
now it's just like, thank God,
Yeah.
I got it.
Yeah.
I got it. I thank him for gracing me with it. It is such a beautiful thing to be able to write about what's on the inside of you, and to express your feelings, and not only for just yourself, but to be able to write that for someone else.
Yeah. I mean, I interviewed Mike and Slim Lamb last week from 112,
Nice.
and they were talking about, how, they were in the biggest, you guys were part of the biggest label at the time, Bad Boy, anything that came out was turned to gold, platinum, gold, it didn't matter what you guys did. Did you find that being a lot of pressure, or did you just enjoy the moment, or were you able to think, okay, what was it like in that 96, 97, when everything Bad Boy touched was just magic?
You know what? It was, I'm not gonna say it was pressure at first. I think the pressure came like kind of when you leave Bad Boy. Because upon leaving the label and not being on the label anymore, because of what you have done in the past and the things that have been created and has been so huge and so beautiful and so big, you can find yourself comparing, you can find yourself battling with the old you that you were, and sometimes it can stifle you, because that's what happened to me at one point. I was so stifled and I was afraid to go forward, and I had to contend with myself. So I'm fighting with myself,
Yeah.
because of what it is that I've done, opposed to just being me and remembering that Bad Boy didn't make me. They didn't create me. It was God who did it. It wasn't Total who did it, who created Pamela Long. It was,
Yeah.
so it was just like, I had to learn how to stop fighting myself, stop trying to contend with what I did, and just be who I am. And that was one of the hardest things to do. So it was after, not being in the mix thereof, because we were working with the hottest producers. So it's just like, you just like, all right, we got to come with it. So that they're looking to make it happen. They're not going to make it be anything less than that. But when you're by yourself, sometimes because you lose your identity, you can lose it. I lost mine, because I became Pam, quote unquote, from Total. And my name is Pamela Long. That's not who I am. It's a part of my life. It's a part of my history. I'm grateful for it.
Yeah.
And I will always be grateful. But I had to remember who I am. I had to come to a place where I start to know who I am, because I was so lost up in that, Pam from Total, Pam from Total, Pam from Total. I'm Pamela Long, I'm Judy's baby, as I would always, I'm Judy's baby. I'm Judy Long's baby. That's who I am. So that's when the pressure hit.
You say that, but it's quite a challenge for all of us. I mean, whether you're a doctor or a police officer, we tend to get wrapped up in our work as an identity. And I guess for somebody like yourself, being in the limelight and thousands of people screaming for you, it must be even harder to be able to separate yourself from the persona of the entertainer. When after your second album, you still have big hits, and then there's no third album. Was that where the challenge became, where it was like, what do I do next, or who am I?
You know what? It wasn't that fact. It was more or less that, when it was time, we were at the height of our career and things just came to a halt. And it was pretty much, like I can't speak for the other ladies, but I can speak for myself when I say it was just so much going on the inside of me. I lost the essence of who I was, and upon me losing self, it's just like, man, listen, I'm looking in the mirror and I'm kind of looking at myself like, who am I? And it's just like, my mom, I'll never forget, my mom was like one of the major parts of my life that helped to change me. And I'm not going to say that it was right away, because it wasn't, but
Yeah.
it was just like, it hit hard when my mom said to me one day, my mom being that she was my best friend,
Wow.
she said to me, she was just like, I love you, but I don't like you.
Wow.
And it was like, it hit like a ton of bricks. She was always in my corner, and she still was in my corner after she said that, but she kept it so real with me to the point where she was just like, I didn't raise you like this. And it was more or less of what I had become. It's just like, sometimes you become so arrogant, you can be very prideful, and the world don't see it, but those that know you the best, they know, and it's just like, and then if you really look at yourself, pretty much, and so it was just like so much going on from that standpoint. But it's just like, I thank God that my life changed. He changed my entire life, and I'm grateful and I'm thankful. I'm still pushing forward. Don't get me wrong. There have been things that I have gone through since I have been saved, gave my life to the Lord. It was a lot of mistakes that I've made. I hit my head on so many on so many, how can I say it? I hit my head up against so many walls by my own fault. It was just because I was being hard-headed, disobedient, didn't want to listen to God, didn't want to submit, but still thought that I could rock out and be this Christian woman that I was pronouncing to the world. And it was just like, God was like, okay, since I see that you don't want to change, I'm going to pull the rug from under your life. And that's exactly what he did. And God exposed me on so many different levels. And then from there, it's just like, now I'm in a place where I'm looking to be back and to be who he says that I'm supposed to be, not who I try to make myself look like, So this is the journey that I'm on now. And I'm so grateful for God not taking my life, because he could have, So at the end of the day, I'm a work in progress, but I can't make no excuses for myself no more. And it's just like, I'm not trying to be what I'm not. I just want to be who he says I am, so.
I noticed that you you came out with a book recently, and was this a lot more about your journey and your transformation and where you're planning to be?
You know what? No, this book that's out now was pieces, total exposure, pieces of me. It's just about my life and some of the things that I went through, some of the hurts and the pains and from a young girl growing up, from going through molestation, going through promiscuity, going through, being that girl who was the ugly girl who never loved herself, and growing up being a woman, a grown woman, and people thinking that I, quote unquote, I loved myself, and I didn't, and so it's just like putting on that whole persona. And then it's just like, after all of that, it was just like, God just, like I said, rip the covers off of me. If you think that you can play with God, you can't. He's so much bigger, so much greater, knows all things, knows the heart. And like I said, I'm grateful for just another opportunity. So that the exposure and all the rest of the stuff came after the book. So it's just like, I just thank God, because he didn't have to grace me to be here. Yeah. So, choke me up a little bit, because it's just like when you think about it, when you think about where you could have been, when you think about playing and trying to play a role with God, especially when it comes to Christianity and playing in the church, and to know that God was gracious enough to give me another opportunity. I'm grateful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the way you speak about your faith is inspiring, especially being that you've come through quite a lot. But what is exciting is the fact that you're part of this new show with 8 other women, and now, personally, I'm thinking 9 girls in a group seems a little too much, but the reality TV needs as many people as possible. But can you tell us a little bit about this project? Because it does sound like it'll be fun.
You know what? The project is amazing. It drops June 9th on BET. It starts at 10 p.m. EST time, 9 Central. It is going to be an amazing, and not just because I'm a part of it, but it's an amazing journey. Right now they won't allow me to say too much about it, but what I can say about it is that you will see the ups and the downs. You will see the hurts, you will see the tears, you will see the frustration. You will see a lot in this show that is so real. And it's just like, I promise you that in 9 women, that I believe that a lot of compassion will be shown for every woman. I believe that there's some that some moments where you'll be like, yo, some will be looking like, but at the end of the day, I believe that the end of the story is so beautiful, but you got to go through the whole process. Sometimes in life, you don't know what you're going to have to go through to get to the beautiful side of things. But if you go all the way through, and if God allows you to go all the way through it, and you get to that beauty, and that's the part that is so awesome, is that when you can get to the beauty, and the beauty to me is God, when you're able to be like, yo, to look at yourself and to say, what can I do to change me? All this time I've been blaming everybody else. All this time I've been looking at everybody else. All this time I've been wanting for someone else to change, but it's me. So I believe that's why I believe that the way that they put this together, shout out to Carlos, King, for doing this, because I don't know if they knew that it was going to come out this way, but because of what has occurred, I believe that it's going to be an amazing, amazing season of things to come. I believe that it's going to skyrocket so much for every woman.
Wow. Was it a case where it seemed real? When I mean real, did it remind you of your early days of Total, how things were, or because it's cameras everywhere, did it seem as if, okay, we're scripted?
No, it wasn't scripted at all. It was completely different. In all honesty, to have a camera in your face every day, all day for 24 hours is one of the hardest things that I've ever had to do. I promise you, mentally, it's the hardest thing that I had to do. You wake up with a camera, you go to sleep with a camera. If you sneeze, there's a camera. If you turn right, if you turn left, if you're standing still, there's a camera everywhere. And it was difficult. It was difficult. Like you saying to yourself, like, yo, look, like you had your moments that you felt like you were going to break.
Wow.
You really did. It was just like, okay, like if I did not have my faith, if I didn't have the Lord with me, like who's to say what could have happened with me? Wow. Like, and it's just like, so it's just like sometimes when it's a little different now when you see people on television and you like, you scroll through and you see somebody flipping out on one of these shows, and you say to yourself, like, it's not like, why are you bugging out like that? But now it's a little different when you see it, because if you're not grounded, I promise you can flip.
Wow.
You can flip. And I see, because it's a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
It's a lot of pressure. It's a lot of pressure. It really is. And you wouldn't think it is. I've done videos and it's just like, oh, okay, cool, and there's no more camera. But to have a camera in your face for 30 days straight.
Oh, 30 days. Wow.
30 days, picking up everything that you do. There's not one thing that you do that the camera's not on you. That right there alone is just like, okay, all right, yeah.
Do you guys make friends afterwards? I mean, not about the show, but do you still keep in touch with the ladies? I mean, after 30 days in that kind of close contact?
You know what? After 30 days of being around somebody, how could you not? How could you not like have some type of care? Going into it, you just like, all right, this is just a show. I ain't looking to make no friends. And at the end, you kind of just like, like, all right, all right, I'm gonna call you, so it's just like, you definitely, I can honestly say you definitely, inquire some things that you don't even look to inquire, and that's what's so dope and so beautiful, is that sometimes you don't know. There's so much greatness that can come, when you free yourself for it to come,
Yeah.
Are
you still doing your fitness? Because one of the things that I saw on your, when I was following on IG, that you had, you're very big into your fitness and stuff.
Yes.
We're probably the same age, but you almost feel almost look half my age and stuff.
Oh.
What is this stuff that you could do? Is that stuff where did you pick up the fitness stuff, and how often are you doing it now?
You know what? Fitness have always been my thing. I was a little girl that climbed the trees. I had the baby doll, drop that baby doll, and then go and climb the tree with my brother and them. Play football, and they would hit me so hard. Because I was a girl. So they're trying to make, they're trying to make the girl cry. But you get up crying and still play. So I was the one that was out there trying to play baseball, kickball, whatever it was. And so it's just like I've always been pretty much athletic, and I worked out and since I was like 15 years old, but got serious kind of pretty much in my early like 20s. I would say like I really start just really loving to work out, and it was something that I did. In Bad Boy Puppy, actually had a budget for us to be able to work out. That was something that I did and stayed doing, and then like I said, it's a part of my life. So right now it's just like I work out 4 times a week, and
Wow.
I still am just on top of it. If it was up to me, I would work out a little bit more than that. But it's just like when you start getting older in age, it's just like God kind of pretty much is just like slow down. You ain't no youngster no more. You're looking at the 20-year-old in the gym, and you still trying to get it like her. And it's just like your body, like, look, you are 45 years old. Calm down. She's 20. Calm down. Stop. This ain't no competition. Just keep yourself together. You all right.
Yeah.
And so it's just like, with all of that, with all of that, I'm grateful that I'm still able to do it. I love, don't get me wrong. It's not, before it was about, me trying to just keep my abs right and trying to keep this right and for people to see it. So now it's just pretty much for myself. I'm learning that it's for me. I'm learning that it's for me. It's just like, the belly not being shown no more. It took me a minute to get over that, when God cover up, when God was like, all right, look, it's time to cover up. And I kind of took it hard, like, God, I'm working all hard and I'm seeing everybody else showing, they showing their little stuff. But now it's just like more or less that struggle is no longer there. It's just like, cover up and, and it's just like I can be beautiful covered up, opposed to having everything sticking out, so it's just like I'm still just learning. I'm still learning a lot, still learning how to love myself in a way to where I don't have to do what everybody else is doing. I don't have to be seen this type of way for me to feel beautiful about myself. So it's just so many things that I'm learning. I'm still learning. I'm 45 years old and I'm learning. I'm learning how to love me. So you would think that you would love yourself, but it's just like it took me a little longer in that aspect of things. But I'm grateful that I still have the opportunity to have the journey, and I'm learning. I really am learning, and it feels good to look and to love myself, to learn how to love me, and to be like, oh, okay, I don't have to do that so that somebody can see me, and then they try to talk to me and they this and they that, because I've had those struggles. I would be a lie to say that I didn't.
So when I'm not doing this, I'm a mental health therapist for under 18-year-olds, and
Wow.
the biggest thing I struggle with, but my biggest caseload are females who struggle with self-esteem, and that's and a lot of the self-esteem that they struggle with is from the home. So at the home, they didn't really get the self-esteem and the love from home. So when they get into second high school, and they get to look at other people and realize, oh, we don't look as pretty as her, or this guy's talking to other girls and not talking to us. That's where they struggle. And now to hear you, in your 40s, still talking about loving yourself and about self-esteem and things like that, it's quite amazing, because it shows that it's still a journey, because it's not just about high school kids or college kids, that it's something that can take us a lifetime to really go through and stuff. And so it's, as I said, it's really encouraging to be able to hear somebody who's had the success that you have, to be able to admit that, yeah, it can still be a struggle.
Yeah, and you know what? I thank God. I thank God for being able to be in a place where it's just like you got to be real. Because if you're not real, then you'll never be helped. And it's just like I've masked it. You mask things for so long. You can make yourself appear to be something that you're not to so many different people. And my mom said, you can fool some of the people some of the time, but you can't fool God none of the time. And it's just like when you get older, you start to really understand that's so true. And it's just like, it's just in a point in my life where I just want to be real. I don't want the fake. I don't want the phony no more. I don't want the facade. I don't want to put on the stuff that, the appearances. It's just like, man, look, I just want help. God, please just help me. because I need your help. And it's just like when you can come and be transparent like that. And before, like I was so used to being fake. I was so used to being made up. I was so used to looking to be somebody else. And like you said, these young girls, we have all of these different pictures of what beauty looks like and all of these things. So it's just like one of my pastor, my apostle, she preached about it as well. She talked about loving yourself. But I want to speak about what my pastor said. My pastor, she broke it down one day. I thank God for these women of God in my life. They are so powerful. You know what I mean? Sometimes men think that, you're not supposed to have women preachers, but that's not biblical. You know what I mean? But I'm not even gonna go there. But for the most part, it's just like, I thank God for these women, these strong women of God who really love the Lord and who it's about their Father's business. And I remember my pastor, she talked about relearning things. And it's just like, sometimes you don't know how much you have to relearn until you start learning. And then you be like, dog, the way I think, it's like, really? I remember one time my apostle told me, she is just like, it's your thinking. The way that you think is off. You know what I mean? And when you start to see how you think is wrong, and it's just like the learning aspect. So it's just like what I love is so dope, right? I'm gonna say this in the Bible. A lot of people be like, that's why it's so important for us to read the Bible, because it's like everyday life. In the Bible, in the book of Genesis, in the beginning, I believe it's in chapter 1, around verse 26, 28. And God said, he said, let us make, meaning the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. God said, let us make man in our image and in our likeness. And I read that so many times, right? But recently when I read it, it was almost like a ton of bricks hit me. And I said, God, wait a minute. You said, let us make man in our image and in our likeness. So God, that means that the way that I look, the way that I am, you created me on purpose. So with that, that means that I'm supposed to love who I am, not what I see somebody else to be, but I've always like counted myself against, like you said, these young girls as a young kid. All you see on TV is the this and the that, the small frame one, the light skin one, the one that has the what we used to call, what I call too, good hair. Not the straight hair, the this, the that. Those were the things that we seen. It was on every other magazine. It wasn't the ones that with the kinky hair that we see now. The ones, it wasn't lifted up. So as a kid, or things, or just as an insecure woman, having those things that you see all the time in your face, and you saying, I don't look like that.
Yeah.
So you don't think to love yourself. You love what you see and try to become that. And so now I'm so grateful to God is that when I look in the mirror, I don't look like that, but I look like what God created. And so love her is what I'm learning how to do. You know what I mean? I'm learning how to love her because he was intentional when he made me. And I'll never forget when the prophetess of God, she said to me, she said, when you don't love yourself, she said, it's like you, and I can't remember how she said it. She's like, but it's like you disdain and like spitting in the face of God. Like you don't appreciate what God has created. And I didn't catch it then. You say, oh, okay, yeah. But I didn't catch it because I was so stuck on trying to be this beautiful. All I wanted to be was just this beautiful thing, this beautiful woman. God, why do I have to have the blemishes, God? Why do I got to go through the skin that seemed like it goes up and down? Why this, God? Why that? Opposed to never looking at the picture and loving who he created. And so I'm learning. And I say to any young person, you are so beautiful. I don't care what is going on. Okay, if it's some things, and I heard my pastor say this. If there's some things, and my apostle said it before, and the ministers in my church said it before, is that if there's anything in your life that you want to change, that you can change, then change it. If it's your weight, then you know what you got to do. Push back from the table a little bit. Do what it is that you got to do. Yeah. But the things that you can't change, love yourself. Love it. Love who you are. And she told us to read Psalm 139. So if you get an opportunity, read Psalm 139. I pray that I know that it will change your life, because you will start to see that God created you from the beginning of time. He made you fearfully and wonderfully, is what he says. So,
well,
yeah.
Pamela, I want to thank you for the inspiration. I always ask my guests before they leave if you were stuck in an elevator and you had to watch them, and they said it'll take a couple of hours, we can put a movie on for you. What movie would you request to watch?
Wow. You know what movie just came to my mind? It's Color Purple.
Oh goodness,
I
yeah,
love,
yeah,
I love that movie. I used to watch it so much, Harpo,
yeah,
you know every part, you better bust Mister's head open and think about
yeah.
him later, so it's just like that movie it had so many ups and downs, and just even thinking about Celie, how she didn't love herself,
Yeah.
but it's something at the end, how just all the things that she went through. It was just like, look at the beauty that came at the end. Her sister, who she loved so much, came back into her life. And then look at Suge Avery. You look at, the process of the things that she went through in her life. Even look at Mr. Even though his heart was so hard at the end, his heart, God had a way of touching his heart. So many different levels to the movie. So it's just like, that would be the movie that I was sitting there and I would watch it over and over again, especially that part where God is trying to tell you something. That song did it for me. You gotta take it and you gotta roll it back and then you roll it back again.
When they do meet at the end and they're doing like that, I always brings a tear to my eye when she sees
Yes. Every time, right?
It brings a tear to my eye. They're about to put on the movie, but they said, look, it'll take a few seconds. Let's play a song. What song do you request?
Okay, what song will I request? Let's go with Michael Jackson. There'll be no darkness tonight, Lady I love will shine.
Lady in My Life.
Yeah,
that is my all-time favorite.
Yo, and you know what was so dope about this, right? Is that my mom. That was my anthem to my mom. She would always be the lady in my life. Because had it not been for her being my mom, I don't know where I would be.
I mean, I interviewed Donnell Jones, and we both have the same song, the same Lady in My Life. That's amazing. So, is your mom still around?
My mom passed away going on 5 years now.
Wow.
It'll be 5 years coming up, yeah. And she was my queen, my cupcake. I called my mom my cupcake. She was my everything. She was my superhero. I'll say that. My mom was my superhero. I loved her, and I still love her. I thank God for everything that she's taught me, and yeah.
What would she say if she saw you, if she saw the Pamela today?
You know what? She would have said the ups and the downs that I went through. My mama would have she would have been like, you know better than this. But she would have stuck by me through it all and seen me through. Like, it was just like, my mom seen me go through so much in the industry. And I'll never forget before I gave my life to the Lord. And then it was just like, you heard the thing that she spoke about, like, as far as me not doing what I should have been doing.
Yeah.
But what I love in that whole process is when my mom said to me, when she was just like, she saw me give my life to the Lord and all those things, she saw me walking with the Lord. It was just like, you could see the relief of peace there. It was just like she got her baby back. She got her daughter back, opposed to the one that was running ragged and drinking and doing all these other things. It was just like, for her to have that peace. Yeah. To know that everything was going to be all right. And I believe that, when I was doing what I was doing, she would have came to the table like she always would. And she wouldn't out me in front of nobody, but she'd be like, I want to talk to you. And I knew every time she said it, I was like, I knew it, and she would talk, and she would have her talk with me, and she would have had her talk with me, but she still would have loved me through it. And I believe that now where I am and how I'm looking to press forward and how I'm pressing forward, I believe that she would be like, all right, do what you need to do so that you can be who you need to be,
What advice would you give up and coming recording artists? Because just as your mom was there and really had your back, most of them coming in the industry don't have that type of support. And you've gone through an industry which, from most of my guests, it hasn't been the greatest. Money being taken, people taking advantage. Somebody coming in now, what would you sort of advice would you give upcoming artists?
You know what I would say? Know the business. If you do not know know the business. Know the business. Know the business. It's good to want to be in it, but know the business, please. And just know that everything, don't believe the hype about everything, really know the business, do your homework, get on Google, find out about some things. And I would tell them, and then I want to tell them, please never, ever, 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 ever give away your publishing. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't give away your publishing. Don't compromise who you are. Be who you are. Be the artist that you know that you are in your heart, because bringing your individual artistry to this music industry is so dope. That's how you had the Mary J. Blige's and the Brat and the SWV and Total and Escape and LL Cool J and Biggie and Craig Mack and Tupac and Dr. Dre, Snoop Dogg. That's how you had because everybody was individual. Don't do it what everybody else is doing. Be who you are. And when you be who you are, everybody can't be Beyonce. So if you're not putting on the little skirts, if you wasn't coming into the industry with the little skirt, don't start putting it on because they're trying to make you into somebody else. Don't do it. To the dudes who they trying to make, okay, braid your hair up and look like and sound like, be that Chance the Rapper, be that Kendrick Lamar, be that J. Cole's, be that lyrics that's coming out. Be that. Don't be something else, because it doesn't work.
Is it easy though? Because I mean, you've gone through it. Is it easy to stand your ground and not sign away for that shot of fame?
You know what? It is, and it isn't. It depends on the individual, and it's just like I said, what's worth the compromise? What's worth your soul? What's worth it? Nothing. You can put money on everything. You can put money, you can take money and you can move it here, you can move it here, you can move it here, you can move it here. But when this is all said and done, you can't take none of that money with you. Everything stays here and you go. And we have to stand before God and give an account. At the end of the day, we all going to have to, one day we're going to all die if we don't get caught up in the rapture. You know what I mean? But we're going to stand before God one day, and we're going to have to give an account for what it is that we've done. And what, 5 million is worth your soul? 20 billion, 60 billion, whatever it is, $2, $3, it's not worth it. Nothing. It's not. Be true to who you are.
Yeah. Well, thanks very much. What can we expect apart from you've got the new starting next week? But are we going to expect new music? Are we going to expect anything in the near future?
All of that is so much coming down the pipeline. You know what? I've never thought that I can be an entrepreneur. It's so many things that's coming from Pamela Long. Like, listen, it's things that I didn't even think that I can do. Right now, I'm finishing up working on book number 2.
Wow.
I didn't even think that book number 1 could come out. I didn't even think that I was wise enough or smart enough to do that. But it's just like, God, he just always just blows your mind, to where the things that you never thought that you could do, even when it comes down to, me having my own record label, and I'm the first artist that's coming out from my label. Who would have ever thought, right?
What's
Exactly.
the name of your label?
A Way Out Productions,
A Way
Out. Yes, A Way Out, because it helps to give artists a way out to be who they are. That you don't have to sell out to the industry. So A Way Out Productions, and I'm actually going to be the first one dropping from A Way Out. I had a couple of singles that did well, which I'm grateful for. And but right now, then from that, it's like I have a should I say soft drink? Or it's like a soft drink, energy drink. It's like a energy drink, but natural energy drink that an idea that God gave to me. So it's just like so many different things. Who would have ever thought? Like, it's just like,
wow.
I don't know, but it's just like, I'm grateful for it. So it's so many things that is coming down the pipeline. So I'm excited about it. I'm thankful. And then, like you said, the show was something that, like I said, it's not me. God gave me the opportunity because it was up to me. Like I said, all the things that I had done, and that was on social media and people seeing me, and then the things that people didn't see and me knowing the things that I've done. For me to have this opportunity to be on the show is definitely grateful. I'm grateful for it. I'm thankful, and I'm looking to do the right thing from this time forward. And yeah.
Okay. The music. When can we expect that? Because that's
right. You know what? The music is going to be dropping. It's going to be some music dropping from myself. I can say within the next couple of months. Within the next month and a half, 2 months. You'll hear my voice again on the radio and streaming and all of those great things, even the more. And then too, I'm actually going to redrop the record that I did with Breezy called Why. So I'm going to drop that because the world has yet to hear it. It did good as a single, but I'm going to redrop it because a lot of people, it's like, I didn't hear this song. You know, when you read the comments on social media, and it's just like, people like, I didn't hear this song that you did. It's so good, which I'm grateful for that people like the song. So I'm going to redrop that out, that record as well too. It's called Why. You can check it out if you go on.
I did see today. I also, so
Yes.
it was pretty good. It was definitely good. Yeah, but as I said, I was surprised that it didn't. But then again, 2015, when it came out, 2015 or so.
No, it came out 2018, 19? It might have been 19. But at the end of the day, but you know what? If you think about it, think about the song Mabu. Not Mabu. What's her name? Oh man, I can't think of the song right now. I'm so sorry. But if you think about some of the artists right now, how some of the music that they did before, and then when their name hit and it sparked, next thing you know, it was just like, so it's just that spark. It's just sometimes it's just like you just gotta wait. Sometimes you're not ready for the moment. And I wasn't ready for the moment. Had I been in the moment when all this stuff happened to me, it probably would have been worse.
Wow.
So, yeah, it's timing.
Yeah, no, you're right. And so I would hope when the music is coming out, you'd give us another opportunity to speak to you and promote the music and stuff.
Definitely.
Because, I know that I was on a short time fleece, and I appreciate we kind of went a little bit over than what you expected.
Yes, absolutely.
And the focus of the show wasn't, Total was a great group, but it was just as you said, it was a part of what you are, but isn't over you. And I didn't want to put too much emphasis on that. But
thank you so much.
Most people would not forgive me if I don't ask what your top 3 singles that you ever came out with, when you're part of Total. If you had 3 singles that you say, well, these are my top 3, what would they be? And it could be the features as well.
Right. You know what? I'm gonna go with Can't You See, Kissing You, and for my last, I don't for the last one, I don't know. It was some good music that we had. Sitting Home was a great one. I guess I'll go with Tripping. Tripping. I'm gonna go with Tripping. Yeah.
Kissing You, was it the remix that you with Puffy, or was it the original? Okay. How did they pick who was sing? And some songs like Kissing You, the remix, he sang pretty much the whole thing.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, you know what? It was Puff's ears. It was, Puff ears. It was what he heard, and whatever he heard, it was just like he knew what voices to put on the record, and it just went from there. But pretty much it was what he heard, it was what he heard, and how we went in, all of us would do our parts, and it was more or less sometimes that Puff was just like what he heard, and he knew what a hit record he wanted it to sound like. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, because I always wondered, because unlike most sort of female groups that came out in the 90s, they had, SW was probably the big one where they just had Coco. Which you guys, you did interchange, which was really good, because it meant that you were a proper unit and stuff. So that was very distinctive. But
nice.
It's been an honor for me. As I said,
thank you.
Your showmanship as a performer. I just recently watched, before preparing for this, the Bad Boy tour
nice.
when you did in Brooklyn, and the other two was singing, and then you're off in the corner down your dance, and Poppy says, "Man, I'm gonna go dance with Pamela." So it just shows that you were just it was all about just exhibiting the music. Sometimes it's almost like how Michael used to be when if you ever saw the This Is It, when he's his that final tour, and he's just doing his dancing. You just felt that you were just the music song, forget the song, I'm just going to go and dance and stuff, which is what the audience likes. I've been to many concerts, and the concerts like New Edition, why we all love New Edition, because they put on a show. They may not be the best vocalists, but performance wise, hardly anyone beats them. And I think that's the one thing I always would always say about what you brought to
Wow.
the table was a performance and stuff like that. Are we still going to be able to see you dancing and stuff?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes, you are. You know what? I'm still going to bring the dance and I'm still going to bring the vocals, whatever it is that, that I have, that God will still allow me to have. I'm coming with it all. I'm still that one that's going to bring the swag. You're going to see it in the show as well. There's so many things that you're going to see in the show, and you're just going to see just, who I am. And I'm grateful to still be able to bring it to the table. And yes, that passion is still there. It's still burning. That light is still burning. And I'm grateful and I'm ready to hit the stage. Yes.
Psalm 130, was it 134 you told me to?
Psalm 139.
Oh, one.
Yes. Yes.
139.
Yes.
It's yeah, what you said about you can gain the world but lose your soul. I think so many people kind of forget that.
Yeah.
Even if I live to 150 years old, eternity far outweighs that.
Come on.
And
Yes.
it's quite easy God says, Jesus gave us one commandment. He says, love God and love your neighbor as yourself,
Yes.
So that was all he said. Forget the 10 commandments, forget everything. Just love God. And the whole thing is, as you love God, he gives you it's almost like he gives you the ability to then start to love others. So you can't just love others without God, but you love him, and then he empowers you to be able to love others. But most importantly, he says, as yourself. So the one thing that you started to talk about is that if you can't love yourself, how then do you start to love others? Because if you don't love yourself, how do you see others? You're seeing them you're jealous of them, you're negative of them, you're criticizing them because it's about what you're seeing about yourself. And so many people become religious, but being, I've walked with God in a way where if the Holy Spirit tells me this is what you need to do, I don't even stop. I have to say, yes, you're right, because
Yes.
I can't live in disobedience. I cannot,
Yes.
and so it's inspiring to hear you speak openly, especially as a celebrity, but most people aren't able to do that. And I just continue to pray, because I know that it's harder for you. You've got more of a bigger platform, and I know how the enemy comes and looks to strike the shepherd, those who are in the spotlight. It's like, I'm going to try and tear them down, because if I can discredit you, I can discredit a lot. So, definitely we'll keep praying for you, and for the journey that you're ahead, because it's not easy to be able to be a mouthpiece for the Lord in the public eye, because I know a lot of people will be coming after to pull you back down.
Yes, thank you so much for your prayers. I thank you so much. God is so good, and I thank him. And like you said, it's just like all the commandments is definitely in that one. When he said love God and love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, all thy mind, all thy soul, that strength. And then he said to love thy neighbor as thyself. And you're absolutely right. And I thank you for the prayers, because God knows that I need them. I just want to just live right. That's it. Finally in that place where it's just like, I just want to live right, God. That's it. That's what matters. And it's just like, and that's what I'm fighting to do. And I got to press every day. And I got to, like you said, can't live in a place of disobedience no more. Can't live in a place of religion no more.
Yeah.
I've done that. That was definitely my plight, so, and I thank God for, like I said, the opportunity to be able to say, you know what, God, thank you. Thank you for slapping me down. Thank you. Enough is enough. And so thank you for this interview. It was beautiful. It was great. And I look forward to being back when the music comes out. Thank you again.
Yes, but I have to thank Rochelle for setting it up, and yes, please give us another chance when the music is out, and hopefully give me more time as well.
Yes, absolutely. So it definitely was meant to be this time. The way that everything went was supposed to be. And I thank you again for everything. And please have an amazing, amazing night. And thank you so much.
Yes, thanks, Pamela.
All right, thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Hey guys, thanks for watching. Thanks for being a part of Halftime Chat. Please remember to subscribe, share, and comment. But most importantly, why don't you become a member of Halftime Chat? We've got amazing videos, amazing perks, and being able to support the channel. But anyway, thanks for watching. Take care.
I never participated in that category.
And somewhere in between.
For even loving us, on which I didn't miss you with.
What was it like growing up?
She's still making an impact on 4 houses down.
I have a couple of pieces.
Trying to get this one and that one.
That works for you, but just for me,
No, okay, you're okay.
They don't understand what Jonas Boys and men and all spirits.
Play it.
And all these guys, they all work together.
I mean, I love all different genres.